morning to you. She's saying, Yoruba nation, no going back. Okay. But one of the questions, whilst you were talking, one of the questions that because with the delivery of the letter to turn down his street, I was asking myself the question, is it the first time that the Yoruba nation has officially presented a letter to the UK government? Because we know that UK is the colonial masters of Nigeria.
And you're quite right, and that is, one of the, the concern of many people. We have to keep this wrapped because we know that there's a lot of saboteur. There's a lot of people that wants to derail the movement. So, this, important letter, that was delivered to number 10 Downing Street was kept very tight because the petition, which is confidential, I myself doesn't know what is inside. Remember that we told you that Professor Akintoye, sent that email, the letter all the way from Benin Republic, with a special courier to deliver it for me to, hand it over to Igboho himself. Then what then happened is that many people, that were, in that gathering, was very excited. And I can tell you that the reaction of that letter alone, when you go on the X, which is the Twitter this morning, or since Saturday, a lot of space have been opened, a lot of discussion on Igboho and Babakitoye. A lot of people thought, the Yoruba nation was completely done and dusted, with the Yoruba since President Bola Tinubu. Even a lot of people say that Igboho in London means that President Bola Tinubu flew out of London to France ahead of Igboho arriving on Friday, maybe because he was a little bit concerned. Let us also remind our listeners that Tinubu has not yet visited number 10 Downing Street. So imagine that Igboho, visiting number 10 Downing Street, even though we have a president that has been in office for 1 year, but he has not yet, been invited to number 10 Downing Street to see the Prime Minister. We know that the government in the UK changed over, just about, in July when we had our election. But again, it's like Igboho presenting this letter created a lot of what we call discussion. And I can tell you the reaction. These are some of the dailies, coming out of Nigeria in the last 72 hours with Igboho visiting number 10 Downing Street. And some of the headlines says, the Vanguard newspaper says, Yoruba nation, Sunday Igboho submit petition to the UK Prime Minister. The Daily Trust headline is, Sunday Igboho seeks the UK Prime Minister backing for Yoruba nation. The Daily Trust says, Sunday Igboho submit petition to the UK Key Starmer for Yoruba nation. The Guardian, Nigeria, why we submitted petition on the Yoruba nation, and the Sahara Reporter, breaking news, Sunday Igboho submit petition. And not just that, even the northern part of Nigeria have picked up news that they're also reacting to this letter. So it seems that what we did on Saturday has now ignited a kind of a different discussion. And I will probably say, it is just one out of many that will be happening before the end of this year and coming up to next year.
Okay, listeners, this is STARR Radio UK. Mr. OLAYOMI KOIKI in our North London studios. I'm actually here in the South studios, and we are bringing you updates from Nigeria. We're just touching up on some of the events that took place over the weekend with the Yoruba Nation and the presentation of a letter or a document to number 10 Downing Street to the Prime Minister. And as I said, well, the government have been in the government of the UK, that's the Labour government, Keir Starmer's government, have been in office for I think 102 days. And who was the first Nigerian leader to go to the place? And it's Dr. Chief Sunday Adeyemo. So as he has greeted the president himself, Bola Tinubu, and that's why Tinubu may have before so as he was getting here. I thought they said Tinubu was in London to have a bit of respite to prepare for.
Well, I think Tinubu probably did not want a situation where he's in the UK and Igboho is in the UK as well. So I believe he had to fly out as quickly as possible. That's my belief. But from what we are hearing, I think Tinubu, like you said, is meant to be on an annual leave, but probably maybe he wanted to spend a week in London and visit Paris for the following week.
Okay. For the sake of that, we'll just let it be like that. But Chief Sunday Igboho beat him to it. Okay. But we'll be going to some of the other stories. But a few people that we want to acknowledge for, the organization of all these events that took place.
Well, we would like to first appreciate, the Nigerian Yoruba community that graced the occasion. I mean, the weather was very good, but at some point, as we believe that, when things are going to go very good, it will go extremely very good. And what I can confirm is that as the petition was handed over, the rain started falling, and as a cultured man, as people that believe in tradition, we then realized that, the message has been delivered. And the song that came out from Igbo's mouth is O ti ṣe o, Baba ti ṣe o, ohun tó ń bà wá lẹ́rù Baba ti ṣe o. And the translation means that, what the fear that we are scared of, our fear has now been conquered. Our hope and desire for this event, whether it will happen today or tomorrow or in the next couple of years, has now been done. And like I said, Ifelodun Àpapọ̀ Ọmọ Yorùbá, that is the main lead of the event itself. Also, I've traveled with myself. I can tell you, I'm reporting from Manchester. It's very cold down here, Mr. Archie. I can tell you that it's completely different, but I'm quite, in a very warm apartment where we've been lodged in. Igbo as well is in Manchester, I can tell you, but like I said, tomorrow we might be able to engage him, on the program, and as well. He'll be visiting places, but we cannot reveal too much because of security details. But I can tell you that we can also say thank you so much to those that travel from Nigeria. Easy Aziz Badeshere flew out to Miami yesterday from Heathrow Airport from Terminal 3. He has already spoken to me. He has arrived back in Miami. And like I said, there's still few that are downstairs making prayer for Igbo and the Yoruba people. Oba Ogboni is right there. And also, under the leadership of Professor Adebanjo Akintoye, the YSDM, we'd like to be grateful to them that, for bringing, the Yoruba people together. And likewise, the Yoruba World Media. And I can tell you that the chairwoman has also traveled with Igbo, all the way yesterday. We had in the image that it has been circulating, the General Secretary of the Yoruba World Media was also presented when we were delivering the letter as well. We also have, a man that has held, very strong in the Yoruba rally in US, in the United States of America, Prophet Ologunlua, that flew in, was on the ground, and I can tell you, he was in Manchester with us yesterday. He traveled back again to London on a late train to make his flight back to US at the early hours of this morning. So the sacrifice, the money spent, the time, we can only be grateful that this event went as we wanted it to be.
Wow. Listeners, updates from what took place over the weekend pertaining to the Yoruba Nation in the presentation. But finally, do you think that this has actually put a vim, up the momentum of the quest for the Yoruba Nation's formation?
Well, I mean, many people believe that since President Bola Tinubu came to power, it seems that there's a kind of a coerce, or there's a kind of money because that is what a politician does. And a lot of people believe that maybe Igbo or Baba Akintoye or myself or those that are campaigners, have been given some kind of money, or maybe we are just waiting for 2027 when we would then kickstart again. But what they did not understand is, the movement was almost derailed when Tinubu used, another individual, and this is not allegation, this is what we know, because Tinubu has always, before he becomes the president, record shows and records are there that he has always done everything to break any organization that have got to do with the Yoruba hopes, into two. And the Yoruba movement was divided into two, but the strategy to bring it back slowly has kicked back, and this particular event on the 12th of October will be in the history book that for the very first time, we're not talking about Nigeria. I've lived here for 25 years, over 2 decades and a half. I've never seen any protest or rally, even during the EndSARS, that the road was completely shut down. We're talking about road being shut down all the way from the most busiest high street in London, Oxford Circles, all the way straight to the Prime Minister. That is something that will go in record, for the Yoruba people. And next generation will be able to know the sacrifice that was put in whenever, because nobody knows when the nation will eventually become reality. But what we have done is exactly what other countries have done to become independent country that many of us have enjoyed today, and many people will still like to go and live there.
Wow. listeners, Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Mr. OLAYOMI KOIKI in Manchester. I'm here, actually here in the South Studios in London, and we are bringing you updates from Nigeria. Before we move on to some of the stories, other stories making the rounds in Nigeria, Princess Adibem says that, well, I wish him a safe trip back. Well, we wish everybody who was part of the program a safe trip back so that
in the next couple of years,
sacrifices, we acknowledge it and we pray that the quest that you are standing in for and the sacrifices, may God richly bless you all. Okay? Good. Now let's come to some of the other stories making the rounds in Nigeria. Dangote meets marketers Tuesday over new petrol price. Now, last week we thought that Dangote, I mean, we'll be talking about it like a month ago, talking about Dangote's fuel coming onto the market, and we thought that the prices will drop. We know that the president has given him the chance that he will be sold the crude oil in naira, not dollars, and thinking that that will bring the prices a bit down for consumers. But it looked like last week they had issues when the prices have gone out.
NNPCL, you're right, yes.
NNPCL saying that now they are not going to be part of it. So there's a lot of chaos, confusion going on there. So can you throw more light on it and what this meeting is all about with Dangote?
Well, the issue between, the ongoing, between the Dangote refinery, and the expectation by many Nigerians is that, when Dangote refinery is up and running, probably maybe the price will drop ridiculously. But I can tell you, as at last week, the petrol price going to about almost 1,000 naira, per liter. Quite expensive for a country that produce, or is probably not producing, but that have one of the highest crude oil in the country. And you're quite right, the independent petroleum marketers of Nigeria is now poised for talks with Dangote. This is coming up between tomorrow and Wednesday. I'll be following that and I'll be reporting that back to you in the studio, Mr. Archie. They have now finalized what they called a sort of an agreement to the cost of lifting the petrol from the plant. It was learned that yesterday the Petroleum Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria had been asked by the 20 billion Lekki-based refinery to resend its request for petrol lifting. First and foremost, do we have the network, to move this petrol into all part of the 36 states? We don't have it. The logistics is very heavy, and what we have said so many times is that a country that did not prepare for the future and the future that we have been told that we will have is no longer there today. So the petroleum expressed their optimism that the cost of petrol might reduce in the coming days. I'll be monitoring that and I'll be reporting back to you, Mr. Archie, when we come on air.
Okay.
And if I can go straight from there to what the Peter Obi is saying in the last couple of days. I mean, I've just picked that up as well. It is unfortunate and insensitive. Peter Obi speaks on the fresh petrol price hike. We know that Peter Obi was, presidential, aspirant, contested to the 2023, but he lost the election. He's a politician, a Labour Party in 2023 election. Peter Obi has now described, the latest increase in the price of the premium motor spirit, popularly known as petrol, as unfortunate, insensitive, and is urging the government to reverse the hike.
Will the government be able to reverse the hike, or are we going to still see people struggling with everything that is going on? You want to know more, you got to stay with us because there are a few other stories that Yomi is going to bring in your way. Atuko should stay away from contesting elections, says for your share, and international customers owe Nigeria 5.7 million for electricity. Yomi.
Well, NEPA has been an issue, for a very long time in Nigeria. And there's what they call the Band A and the Band B. But it seems that even the Band A are complaining now that, yes, I mean, they have stable electricity, but they are still also complaining. So two story, one about a couple of days, and I'll be telling you the one today as well. International customers owe Nigeria $5.7 million for electricity. Who are these international customers? And why are they owing Nigeria substantial amount of money? We know that Nigeria supply electricity to Benin Republic and some other African countries within the surroundings, but are they being asked to pay and they refuse to pay? And if they're not paying, why? So let's go into it. in the first quarter, about 4 international bilateral customers being supplied by the power generation companies made payment against the cumulative invoice of over $14.19 million that have been issued. Now, what we know is that the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission revealed this in the second quarter of this year report. Out of the $15 million invoice that was issued by the market operator between April and June, the international customers have only remitted just less than $10 million. The question is, who are this country and why are we not getting paid if we're supplying them, the electricity? The foreign companies of taking power from Nigeria are Para Sebi in Benin Republic, about $1.23 million, Transcorp Sebi in Benin Mainstream, in Togo, $1 million, Odukpan in Togo, $3.4 million. So you can see that within the surroundings are the neighboring countries that are getting electricity from Nigeria, but it seems that they are not making much payment, and that is also having a big impact as well.
Well, listeners, that is what is happening there when it comes to the usage of electricity and the fact that people are not paying for it. But what do you think Nigeria can do to do that? They'll be earning, they're supposed to earn foreign exchange from that as well. But let's see. Okay, we'll let Yomi bring us all the other stories that is making the round this morning. Over to you, Yomi.
Well, a country that loves sports so much, and you can imagine if things have not gone as planned, with the Nigerian sport this morning. So I've been following, some of the, the development in the last few hours before I came on air, to find out, why many Nigerians are not getting enough when it comes to electricity. The sport. This morning, the NFF, the Nigerian Football Federation, have now withdrawn the Super Eagles from the AFCON qualify after the Libyan airport ordeal. Mr. Archie, a lot of Africans complain that when they travel through African countries, it looks like we are strangers to each other. You could travel to Morocco and you could be accused of anything, and the negligence of such means that many Africans have suffered, the ordeal. But it's good when we see, this ordeal happening to, people that can then allow us to highlight it a little bit further, because when we talk to the government doesn't seem to care. So this morning, the Nigeria Football Federation has said that the Super Eagles will no longer take part in the 2025 AFCON qualifier against Libya after the Libyan authority delayed the Super Eagles at the Al Barak airport for more than 12 hours after landing. Imagine we are talking about, Africa to Africa, but I am not, convinced, I am not surprised. It's just that, it seems that to have this unity of Africa will go a long way, because it seems that everybody is just being, marginalizing each other. I mean, if you travel to European country, as long as you have not gone over any immigration issue, you should not be staying at the airport for 12 hours. Only if you have been picked for something and you'll be told exactly what. So a statement have now been issued by the NFF Communication Department this morning, say that the team were left unattended to at the Al Barak airport. A video that was posted by the Eagles media team also confirmed the development, as the players, officials, along with their luggage, were just left stranded with the Libyan airport officials, indifferent to their plight. The Eagles departed on Sunday morning ahead of the 2025 African Cup of Nations qualifying match against the Mediterranean Knights. The Libya was to host three-time African champion at the 10,000 capacity Metia Bene Stadium in Benina, located about 10 kilometers from Benghazi. But the report emerged that they were diverted to another city. I don't know whether you want to talk about this before I continue or not.
Yeah, because, we, like you are saying, we talk about African unity, we talk about the fact that, to travel from Ghana to Nigeria or to Benin or to Togo should be, there should be nothing like any friction there. It should be free flow. We travel to this place and nobody there stops you unless they have proper evidence. And they will tell you that it's not just mere people. Let me put it that way. That is a national football team that is representing Nigeria, especially like Nigerian President Tinubu traveling to Libya and they're stopping him there. That is what has happened. But what I mean, I don't know what the Libyan authorities are going to say, because again, we know that Libya has never been the same after Gaddafi's being toppled, and so I don't know what exactly is going on. But have you had any information from the Libyan embassy in Nigeria?
Well, nothing have come out for, from the Libyan authority. But like I said, I believe sometimes their reaction is based on many Africans that are using the routes from there, to European countries and the Mediterranean Sea issues. But we are not talking about people that have, these are footballers. You are hosting them. You are aware that they're coming, and then you delay them for 12 hours. It shows that there is no respect, for each other. And this happened in South Africa. We see this happening even in Nigeria against other African countries. And the question is, how will we be able to work together to have a kind of a lovely place like, the European countries that travel, from one end to the other, especially, without any delay. But it seems that 12 hours is just, not to be tolerated. And you're quite right, since, the topple of Gaddafi, Libya has never been the Libya that we all know before.
Well, listen, let's start Radio UK. Mr. OLAYOMI KOIKI, Manchester, here in London, where we bring you updates. So we'll go back to Yomi for the rest of the stories making around. Over to you, sir.
Well, because we know that we have other news coming up as well, so we still stick to more news coming, from this report from Manchester this morning, where we have traveled, with Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho. So let's give a little bit more highlight, to the event that graced, the Saturday, outing. Like we said, that outing was not just for the Nigerians alone; it was also for Africa, because it seems that, as we've said this morning, Africa is going through a lot, and that literally means that we need a united Africa, but we probably need a united Yoruba out of Africa, and then we can be able to work and retract, the effort of the indigenous people. So Chief Sunday Igboho, like I said, traveled to London, to grace this occasion. Yesterday, we also like to be grateful, to the Manchester Yoruba Nigerian community. There was a professor that was giving a presentation, last night, and that presentation, exactly what we have said, that there is a hidden agenda by those that were not part of Nigeria, the Fulanis, to invade and take over the land. It touched on many areas, especially when the former President Buhari said, all Fulanis from every part of Africa can come into Nigeria. And that has led to multiple Boko Haram attacks. And that is still happening as we speak this morning. So it seemed that the Manchester community are also one community that have done so well for themselves in terms of business selling and working in the NHS and also working in other healthcare sector as well. We would like to be grateful to Oloriyeko, the host, and many others, Tito and the committee that brought us in, to Manchester, as Igboho is still, making his way to some other engagement this morning. And from there, let's go back to some of the other news headline before I go on what is happening on the social media. As usual, 2 people died in Lagos, multiple auto crash. That is coming from the, the news this morning. There was something that we would like to talk about, which is Nigeria was not snubbed. This is coming from the presidency to clarify the position on the 2024 United Nations Council election. You might be asking, what's this all about? The statement that any vote mistakenly attributed to Nigeria during the recent election will be in error by other nations. Well, again, what is this all about is the question. The presidency has clarified that Nigeria was not among those who competed in the 2024 United Nations Human Rights Council election, which were held on October 9, 2024, some few days ago. According to the press statement signed by the Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, says Nigeria was not snubbed. The statement states that any vote mistakenly attributed to Nigeria during the recent election will likely cast. The question is, why are other nations casting vote for Nigeria when Nigeria was not on the list? Who do we believe? Do we believe the presidency, or do we believe those that casted the vote, but there was not enough vote for Nigeria? It seems that Nigeria is just on autopilot, as we always say. Let's take more, and then we will go back to you as well. Again, I have escalated the matter. This is now coming from the sport minister speaking on the Super Eagles ordeal in the Libya. According to the report, the sport minister John Eno says he has now escalated the ill treatment meted out to the Super Eagles, and I hope they'll be doing the same thing, especially Abike Dabiri, when it comes to some of the issues that are being faced by many Nigerians, especially if people like us that still travel with the Nigerian passport. You can imagine the harassment that we have to go through. There's a story that is circulating in the last 24 hours, buzzing the social media, and that is the Airpeace owner Oyemi Allen has now come out to maintain innocence as the U.S. charged him with obstruction of justice. Oyemi is the Airpeace owner that brings Nigeria, through Gatwick Airport. But it seems that there's a kind of a financial allegation by the United States authority. Also charged is Mrs. Ejiro Egbagba, the airline chief of administration and finance, for allegedly participating in the obstruction scheme as well as in the earlier bank fraud count. Let's give a little bit story. Airpeace has denied any wrongdoing by its chairman and chief executive officer, Dr. Allen Oyemi, and the chief finance of administration, Mrs. Ejiro Egbagba, who have been charged by the United States for alleged obstruction of justice. It was a statement that was released by the U.S. Attorney Office, said that Oyemi has been charged in a superseding indictment with obstruction of justice for submitting false documents to the government to end an investigation of him that resulted in the earlier charges of bank fraud and money laundering. Also charged is the finance chief of administration for allegedly participating in the obstruction scheme. We're talking about almost $20 million here, bank fraud charge against Oyemi, which has now been for the last 5 years. So we see this is going to happen, but all this has happened according to the U.S. authority back as 2019 in an effort to stop the investigation and unfreeze his bank account regarding the alleged 20 million bank fraud. So we will be monitoring that, and I'll be giving more report should we have that. But it seems that Oyemi is saying that I am innocent, but like we always say, you'll be innocent until proven guilty by the court or not guilty. Let's talk about politics in Nigeria. Zamfara speakers losses millions worth properties to home fire. The current PDP situation is embarrassing. Party haunted by election loss. This is coming from Fayose, the former Ekiti State governor. And also Edo government right Okpabolo APC on the formation of transition team. And the last one is Tomori to politicians rather than steal, resign if your constituent place outrageous demands. Well, Mr. Archie, I've never seen a Nigerian politician resign, but I believe the former finance minister then, Kemi Adeosun, resigned, even though there was pressure by Buhari then not to allow her to resign. But she resigned, and since then, she has gone very quiet. So we'll take that particular story, then we go straight to what is happening on the social media. You're still watching the Star Radio UK morning show this morning, and like I said, we'll be giving you all the report, and like if all goes as planned tomorrow, we might have Igbowo himself speaking to us on this program. Elder statesman and professor of virology, Oyewale Tomori, says politicians using the numerous financial demands of their constituents as justification for fat salaries and allowances can do better. He said, rather than polluting government coffers to meet the seeming outrageous demand of their constituents, such politicians should rather resign and not be put under pressure to indulge in a sharp practice. The elder statement was on a guest on the program, Inside Source with Akonde. Akonde was a former, working with the vice president, but as usual, he's gone back, presenting on the media as well. A social political program that was aired on one of the mainstream media. According to him, both the leaders, the followers, have exclusive roles to play to restore the glory of Nigeria. But the Yoruba are saying there's no glory that can be restored in Nigeria. The Biafra are saying the same thing. Even the Arewa has come out again. I'm saying, the report, I'm getting this morning is that the breakup of Nigeria will be in the interest of everyone. And as I say, it seems that that story has also circulated, this morning. But let's take you to what is happening on the social media. Like I said, Igboho is trending. Let's speak some of what is happening. Ifa Funsho says, and I quote, thanks to Sunday Igboho for submitting petition to the British to remind them that there will be reconstruction of Nigeria. The wedding between different ethnic nations who don't speak the same languages isn't working, and we won't wait for freedom to be given. We will take it by ourselves. That is coming from some of the, the trending news, of Igboho. And like I said, we would like to also be grateful to Bishop Adesina, where he was able, to allow, a good, salutation to Igboho, on Saturday, where all that happened as well. Also, a lot of news reaction as, more news, are reporting this event of Saturday, and that is the worst, the most trending, on the social media this morning. But to finish it up, also Simon Ekpa posted, on Saturday that at exactly 1400 hours, Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho delivered a petition to the UK Prime Minister on behalf of Professor Adebanjo Akintoye, the leader of the Yoruba Nation Movement, and Olayomi Koiki, spokesman, with the diaspora youth leader, Prophet Ologoluwa, with the Vice President of Ifelodun Apapo, with Fatai Ogunribido, the General Secretary of the Yoruba World Media, and Alaja Adeyeye, member of the Yoruba Nation Movement, Paul Odebiyi Gbedu, member of the Yoruba Nation Movement. And we go straight to Simon Ekpa's and take one or two from there, and then I'll come back, we end this broadcast. But like we say, it seems that, the Biafra continue to say, until we give or we take. Is either you give us or we take force. Breaking, Simon Ekpa 1 hour ago. Biafra Monday sit at home today. Biafra self-referendum. Biafra vote of no confidence on Nigeria. And vote of confidence on the Biafra government continue today with a massive sit-at-home compliance. This sit-at-home has been going on now for more than 4 years.
Well, I think that they are in control, but you can see forces behind are more in control there. But who knows what is going to happen on that front? Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. OLAYOMI KOIKI has been with us this morning, all the way from Manchester, bringing you everything that happened with the Yoruba Nation gathering, the dinner night, the Million March, and then the event that took place in Manchester as well. And as he has promised, tomorrow, God willing, keeping fingers and everything crossed. Those who have to fast and pray, go and fast and pray. We'll try to see where we can help Dr. Chief Sunday Adeyemo with us. Yes? Okay, so make sure your dials are logged on. Start ready again. But Yomi, before we go, someone asking, now with the presentation that the Yoruba Nation, you and the team, Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho presented to the UK government, how and with the post that Samuel Ekpa has also posted this morning, how do you see that? Does it give them some hope that, look, we can all do something about it?
Well, like we always have said, that what we want is a peaceful, de-amalgamation of Nigeria. The Yorubas are not going anywhere. The land belongs to them. The location belongs to them. They are indigenous people that have been existing for thousands of years until the British, amalgamation in 1914. And what we are saying is, they are amalgamated. The Biafra are saying that they will make a full declaration in December 2nd, which is just, some 2 months away from today. The Yorubas are continuing with their diplomatic way of presentation to tell the world, the United Nations, and like I said, Igboho and Baba Akintoye and the rest of the team are working to make sure that we don't want a bloodshed, as we've seen that every freedom always comes with bloodshed. But some people believe that, with this letter make any impact. Let us continue to remind that the UK is still, even though we have been an independent country, but they still can do something. And if they refuse to do something, as Simon Ekpa have said, as Baba Akintoye have said, as Igboho have said, we would then have to take it by the bull by the horn. However, we believe that we will take it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Bible says something. It says, since the time of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven is suffering violence, and it's a violence who can take it by force. But what do you think about all that? Well, we brought you everything that you need to know. But before Yomi goes, Yomi.
Well, it's good to be back with you, Archie. And now last week, as much as I was trying as best to get into the program, but we had to keep going back to the airport. I was at Heathrow Airport twice, last week. And again, there was a lot of other activities. But this week, we'll be rest assured because we're still traveling with Igboho, but we don't want to let everything out of the bag. But for now, we're still in Manchester, and we will do everything to make sure that on the Monday to Friday, we'll be joining you to give all the report. But for those of you that do not know, make sure you follow, click that button, because Star Radio UK is part of the African diaspora radio station that brings the report between 24 hours section and different programs. As we leave you, remember that we'll also be having Linda Pelly that will be joining us later. But for now, I'll leave you in the good hands of Mr. Archie, and I'll be back again tomorrow at exactly 11 o'clock. Greetings to all those that have joined us on the platform from the sister and those that are listening from around the world. And since Igbo has been in the UK, it looks like everyone now is gluing to hear maybe there might be more to get out of the bag. But for now, we're not letting everything out yet.
Okay, Yomi, have a lovely day, and we'll catch up later.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that has been Mr. OLAYOMI KOIKI bringing you updates from Nigeria with events that took place here pertaining to the Yoruba nation. But, I cannot do this by not playing any song in commemoration of that. Now, if you have a cause that you want to check out and you want us to be part of it, you want us to support you or to give you the platform to do so, just get in touch and we'll do so. But let me bring you this song from Jeanette. As she says, Yoruba Nation, enjoy it, and I'll be with you. Stay tuned.
I gotta go now. I'm not till I get breakfast. My voice is gone, and I need to slow down with my voice. I need to go now. I'm not till I jump. Be rest assured, we'll bring you all the live transmission with CSI. If we have to, he's gonna have his private session. We'll not be bringing him live all the time, so don't expect that Igbo must come live. No, I will be live when I want to be live, because that is what I do as a media. But Igbo and his wife must get their privacy. So Moki Gbogbo Alen kan sí pé aku orire, aku palẹ̀mọ́, aku gbogbo ẹ̀. Adélẹ̀lérí lágbára Jésù Kristi. Ìyẹn èmi mọ̀ yẹn dájúdájú. Adélẹ̀lérí lágbára àwọn tó nílẹ̀ Yorùbá. Adélẹ̀lérí o, inshallah wa kudratillah. Àwa àti sọ fún yín pé no retreat, no surrender ni. Ẹni bá máa kú nínú wọn ló máa kú. Torí àwọn ò ní kú o. Torí pé àwọn ló máa fi orí ara wọn fágbọn tó máa bá ẹ̀jẹ̀ tí wọ́n la máa ta sílẹ̀. Tó ìyà rẹ̀ máa jẹ́ gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá. Kí àwa wá dákẹ́. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà ní Manchester, àkí gbogbo yín o. Koiki lèmi jẹ́. God bless Yoruba land. God bless Biafra land. God bless HRH land. God bless United Kingdom. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni, torí pé ìlú tíyàn bá ń gbé kọ́lọ̀ bless ẹ̀. But ìlú yẹn tó bá náà wọ̀n ní gbọ́ pé torí wọ́n fẹ́ jẹ nínú tọ̀dọ̀ tiwa, bíbá ẹ̀kọ́ láti máa ní kọ́lọ̀ máa bless wọn. Ọlọ́run ò ní bless wọn nílẹ̀ Yorùbá. Àwa la mọ̀ tá máa ṣe. Àbóyé yín, mo fi kóòdù sọ̀rọ̀ ni. But ní bíbá Ọlọ́run bless wọn. But lọ́dọ̀ tiwa lọ́hùn, ẹ jẹ́ ká fi tó kulẹ̀. Mo kí gbogbo yín. Ẹ má yẹ kí n máa dárúkọ. Mo lọ́ọ̀ tí lọ jẹun nísìn. I love you all. Thank you so much. Ẹ̀yin tèmi lórí mix.